What does it mean when someone you've been on a date with, had a lot of text exchanges with, but someone who ultimately fizzled out keeps interacting with your social media? Maybe you notice that on each story you post, they're watching that story. Maybe they're responding with emojis. Maybe they're liking the pictures you post. And it's confusing. Why am I even on their radar if they've decided that they're not interested? Does that mean that maybe they are interested? Does it mean that there's more to this story than I realized? Maybe there's a reason it fizzled that I don't know about, but they're still trying to engage me because they like me. Maybe there's still potential for it to go somewhere. Maybe I should reach out to them, given that they keep engaging with the things I'm posting. What does it mean? We, especially when we like someone, have this innate urge to create story out of what they do. Someone gives us a morsel of engagement or attention, and we want to construct a narrative out of that might fit with the idea that they do in fact like us, that they do want our attention, and that there may still be some potential in this situation. And because we've created that story, we now begin, consciously or unconsciously, to invest in that story. So now you find yourself posting something which is kind of for them. You're posting a picture of yourself looking sexy so that they'll comment on it or they'll engage with that story. It might elicit a message that could lead somewhere. But all it does instead is keep resulting in the same kind of attention. You post a story and they respond with a flame emoji. Your love life has been reduced to a flame emoji. What do you do in a situation like this? Well, firstly, we have to start becoming self-aware about how, A, we're creating story. In other words, there's no reason to believe that this means anything. This is the lowest form of attention someone could possibly give you. Think of the way we scroll through Instagram and you just like something. Yeah, okay, scroll, like. When we take such minor behavior as evidence for a much bigger story, we have to suspect ourselves, because we may tell ourselves, well, he does like me. It's clear that he's just been really busy, or that it fizzled out for some legitimate reason, but he's trying to get my attention again. Or there's some reason that he's found it difficult to reach out to me more directly, but he clearly still likes me because he's doing this. We have no more evidence for that narrative than we do that every Sunday this man dresses up as the Easter Bunny and goes around the neighborhood delivering eggs to his best friends. We have to suspect the narrative we want to be true. Now, why would someone do it if they're not interested? Why even bother with that? Well, someone can be attracted to you, but not in any way be moved to do anything more about it. Maybe they're seeing lots of people. Maybe they're just kind of lazy and aren't actually interested in investing in anything right now. Maybe it's just super easy for them to like an attractive photo of you and just enjoy you from a distance versus actually taking you on a date and having to make anything of it, which is effort. We almost don't need to worry about why someone is doing that. What we need to do is see it for what it is, a level of engagement that shouldn't even be interesting to us, because our time and our energy is worth so much more than rewarding that level of investment with our analysis and our attention. And you may say, oh, it doesn't take that much time for me to check if they've liked my post or to send a quick like back on something they've posted. But if you actually think about the times when you're out with your friends and you could be taking a risk or speaking to somebody, having a fun conversation with a stranger, and instead you're looking down at your phone to check if they've engaged with the latest thing you've posted, that does take up time. It does take up bandwidth. It does occupy our focus. Now, the problem with indulging this kind of attention is that for you, it becomes a form of microdosing. Microdosing in the relationship or romantic context is when someone who isn't meeting our needs, we continue to indulge because we're getting some kind of hit out of it. It's not making us happy, but there is some comfort in knowing that that person is still there, that something might happen, so we keep giving it our time and attention. Now, you may be wondering, but what if me responding leads to him trying harder? What if when he watches my stories or sends me some quick emoji, me responding leads to a conversation? When you respond to the absolute lowest form of investment, after you've had better investment from a person, all you're doing is tacitly approving of that behavior. So when someone sees that they sent a fire emoji in response to your story, and you then sent a smiley face emoji, what they're learning is, oh, I can still just send you this kind of attention and know that you're there. You may even be waiting around for this kind of attention from me. So there's no drive, there's no desire to do anything more. Someone has to understand that when they send that, they get nothing from you. And if he suddenly sends something a bit more interesting, like an actual question, asking how you are, what you're up to, saying he'd like to catch up, if he does that, you can respond to that. But when you respond to that, what you're saying to him is, all that stuff you were doing until now wasn't enough for a response. What you're doing right now is enough for a response. Now, you'll still have to see where that goes and be careful not to do more than he is. Be careful to mirror the amount of investment you're getting instead of jumping the gun and giving more, but at least you're getting something worthy of a response. You have to decide that if someone wanted to reach out to me, they would. Let's be clear, we're not talking about a guy who's on the other side of the room in a bar who you've been giving eye contact to who hasn't come over yet. There, the principle of if he liked me, he'd come over is nonsense because people are scared of rejection. So in that situation where you've never spoken before, there's some truth to that. In a situation where somebody has already been on dates with you, has already got your number, has a means of communicating with you, when they don't reach out, it's because they don't want to reach out. Not because you're some big scary monster that they're intimidated by. Before you go, if you like that video, but you want to know why someone pulls away in the first place, why do they go from giving a lot of attention to you to suddenly going cold, I have a free guide for you that explains the top 5 reasons why someone pulls away. The link is right here. It's whyhe'sgone.com. Download it now before you leave. And please don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and maybe even leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of the video. Did you enjoy it? Was it helpful? Did I have too many buttons unbuttoned on my shirt? I think the answer was yes, Jameson. It wasn't intentional. I didn't realize there was that much chest showing.
You unlock this video with the key of imagination. Inside it is another dimension. A dimension of words. A dimension of symbols. A dimension of strange faces. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Our story begins with a friend of mine who met a guy on a Friday night. What you are about to see is a real text exchange between her and this man that started on Sunday. He sent her a message saying, "Great meeting you." She then said, "You too, how's your Sunday been?" Pretty decent start, right? Except for the fact that he didn't reply until... Well, Tuesday has been great, upside down face. How's your week been so far? She then replies, You operate at grandpa-esque texting speeds. Now, I actually like this message. I like the fact that she's calling him out on how slow he is at texting. What I don't like is the little ahaha where she softens the blow in the beginning. I kind of want her to just say it without even worrying about offending him in this moment. She then says this, really good week, about to get really crazy though. Now, I would have been happy if she just left it there. I know she's not asking him a question, and that might seem like the polite thing to do, but this isn't about politeness, it's about attraction. And in this moment, he might have just been messaging her because he's bored. To prove that he's not just bored, she should allow him to do a little more work. Instead, here's where it goes wrong. Which is why tomorrow I could do with getting a happy hour drink with a handsome gentleman. 7 p.m.-ish. Here she does all his work for him. Now, you guys, if you know my philosophy, know I don't have a problem with a woman asking a guy on a date. But in this scenario, he has not earned this. All he's done is send a low investment message. So I wish that she'd allowed him to get himself to that point instead of rushing to arrange a date tomorrow night based on 2 messages. And here's how you know she went wrong. He didn't text her back on Tuesday. He didn't even text her back on Wednesday. He didn't even text her back on Thursday. He didn't text her. Until... And do you want to know what he sent? Grandpa emoji. Now, the fact that he sent this emoji of this poor old man doesn't make him a bad guy. It just makes him a guy who's not trying very hard right now. And as you know, I'm always encouraging women to give investment to men who are investing in them. And to her credit, knowing what I would advise her to do in such a situation, my friend didn't reply. Which brings us to... Now, it's almost as though between the Friday and the Tuesday, he realized, uh-oh, I may have screwed this up. So he gives his reasons for not texting back quickly enough. I mean, it's just that my Wi-Fi is slow, my phone wasn't working, I dropped it, and it was donezo. Last week was a crazy busy week, and also I'm really slow when it comes to texting. Now, this is where my friend came to me. 2 hours after she had received that message. She said, what do I text back to this guy? Now, my first question was, do you actually want to see this person again? To which her reply was, yes. Now, for those of you watching out there who say, I wouldn't want to see him again, fine, that would be your decision. For her, she did want to see him again. So I said, give me the phone. She passed me the phone, I wrote out a message and hit send. And it was a very different message than the one she would have sent. All good. Have a great week. Now, why did I send this? Because in this moment, he's expecting to give a bunch of excuses and for her to take all of that rationale on and say, oh, it's okay, no worries. How's your week going? Do you want to do something tomorrow night at 7 o'clock? He's expecting attention. She doesn't give him attention. What she says instead is, that's all good. And by the way, I'm not going to get into this with you because why would I? Right? You have your reasons, I have my reality. What I'm more interested in is my reality, not your reasons. Your reasons may be true, your reasons may be accurate, you may not be lying, but I'm interested in my reality. In other words, in the result I'm getting. And the result is nothing's really happening between us, and this is a poor text exchange. So my reality is what I'm responding to. Respond to your reality, not to his reasons. Have a great week. Smiley, happy, positive, polite, but low investment. I knew that this would scramble his brain. She's kind of checked out a little bit, even though she's still being polite and warm, which is what kills a person. When you're still warm and polite, but you're moving on and doing your thing, that affects them deeply. Here's what he sent back. So, does that offer still stand for hanging out, or is that a one-time deal? I'm free. If you're available, would be nice to talk at normal speed. So this is a guy who suddenly got vulnerable. He realized that he wasn't getting anywhere, that she was checking out, and that he needed to actually start to invest. So he puts it all on the line. Here's what I told her to write back. It's dangerously close to a one-time deal. Now, by saying that, you're actually introducing that element of danger. This might not work out for you now as a result of what you've done. But there's a little playful emoji there, little softener. What did you have in mind? So here's where you're not doing the work for him. Instead of her now saying what she said in the beginning, which is, how about a date tomorrow night at 7 o'clock? Instead, she's putting him on the back foot. You're coming after me, so what did you have in mind? To which he replies, why don't we meet at Harlow for a drink tomorrow at 7 p.m? She then says, okay, see you tomorrow. Cool, calm, collected. This is a tempered response, but it's warm. And it does exactly what we always intend to do, to show the person opposite us that I will invest if you invest. But I'm not going to invest simply because I like you. This is an equal arrangement. You give, I give. Now look, whether or not this guy turns out to be the right guy for her, that's up to her, she'll see. What I care about in this example is that she was working harder than she needed to get his attention, to get attraction. And I believe that attraction is actually often about doing less, not more. But when you're doing less, you have to be doing the right things. So if you right now have someone in your life that is blowing hot and cold, they're kind of distant, you don't know what to do with them, I have something for you of value before you go. It is a free guide which details the 5 reasons that men pull away instead of coming closer to you. If you want to know what they are, go to whyhe'sgone.com. Click the link, download the guide, and I will see you there. Otherwise, I will see you in next week's video. Becoming snippy in our comments, we find a way to get mean about other people. We essentially reject and judge other people before they can do the same to us. Others amongst us get quiet. We just stop talking about ourselves. We go into our shells and we don't really put ourselves out there anymore. Some people turn into the Joker. You know, everything becomes a joke, everything's funny. They become a performer, an entertainer, as a way to put a barrier between everybody else and the more sensitive, vulnerable sides of themselves. Take a moment right now and think about what your pattern is. What's the layer that you put between everybody else and your true self? If you are someone who has shut down because of heartbreak or trauma in your life, I want to give you 5 baby steps to opening back up to life and love again. The first way to open up again is, if you're not doing it already, get back out there on a couple of dates. I think that people shut themselves off to dating because they have these giant expectations of where it could lead. In a way, there's a part of them that's hopeful, and that makes them scared because they're looking at the long-term view of how someone might let them down or hurt them. Temporarily, I want you to lower your expectations of the long term and re-energize the spirit of immediate and spontaneous connection. Number 2, talk about something you love or are passionate about without any hint of sarcasm. One of the ways we actually make ourselves vulnerable is by talking about what matters to us. So you love painting, gardening, you love cooking, you love painting miniature figurines. It doesn't matter what it is, but talk about it in an earnest way. When we reveal what we love, we reveal a part of ourselves, and many people find it hard to do that without making a joke about it. That leads us to number 3, which is talk about something you like about the person in front of you in an earnest way without any hint of sarcasm. Many people, when they're not being vulnerable, they kind of deliver a compliment in a jokey way. So they'll look at someone and they'll go, well, you look snazzy tonight, instead of saying, you look really handsome tonight. When we're being vulnerable, we deliver compliments with sincerity. Number 4, talk about your weaknesses. Now, these don't have to be really serious things or anything melancholy, just things that show you're more human. So if you know you worry too much about the little things, talk about that. If you're not always good at a party, or maybe even if you're a little nervous on this date right now, vocalizing those little imperfections can actually humanize us and really connect us to another human being, and they are an act of vulnerability. Number 5, go at a pace that works for you. That doesn't mean artificially putting the brakes on something with someone simply because you're scared. It just means sometimes other people try to rush us into a stage of the relationship that we're not comfortable being in right now. We want to allow trust to develop. We want to allow the relationship to grow organically. And there are other people who, they love the drama of relationships. They love the romance, and so they want to jump headfirst into the deep end immediately. It's okay to put the brakes on someone else as long as you don't shut down to connection completely. Your job right now, person who is shut down, is to start opening yourself up to new experiences with people and building positive reference points for how opening up and seeing someone else and being seen in return can create really beautiful moments of meaning in your life. Look, maybe if you shut down and don't connect to anyone, you avoid some of that pain of relationships, but you also risk living life on a lukewarm level that has no passion. And life is short. So don't put your life on hold, because we don't have that much time to waste. If you've been doing it until now, I want to challenge you to make today the day that you change that. And if you're nervous about how to open up again and begin a fresh chapter of your life, but you know deep down you really want to, I'm here for you, and I want to lead you by the hand in showing you how to do that. My retreat program is something I created literally as a step-by-step process that would walk people into the next chapter of their life, the one that will define the rest of their life. So if you're ready to finally put the past behind you and begin the next chapter of your life, come to MatthewHusseyRetreat.com and let's do it together. I'll see you there. When someone ends it with us, we go through so many different emotions. But amongst the first emotions are panic, the terror of abandonment, the grief of having lost someone, but not lost someone to a death, lost someone who's still there, who still exists, but has decided that they don't want us. One of the most difficult, exquisite pains we have to experience in life. And our instincts in that moment are to fight for this thing, to fight for the relationship that we want so badly. But this urge to fight is a dangerous one. Here's a concept I want you to take to heart. It's not your job to fix what he broke. Think about it. He broke something. He shattered something. He violated the relationship. There are many different ways to violate a relationship, right? Imagine he cheated on you. You would see that as a fundamental violation of the boundaries of the relationship. But so is this. Why don't we see someone breaking up with us, someone disappearing, as a violation in itself? It's a violation of a truth that we held, a truth that you and I were bigger than any problem, that you and I were going to overcome, that you and I were going to do what so few people do and actually last together. What's so sad is that during a breakup, so many women fight for him to give them back the relationship they've lost. But I want you to completely flip your mindset on this. When he broke up with you, he gave up his power. The relationship is no longer his to give. In fact, if he wants it again, that's something he has to fight for. That's something he has to earn, a challenge he has to overcome. And the only way that he's going to fight for you is if he realizes that he broke something. Now, how does he realize that? You have to change something about the way you're thinking about this. You have to begin the process of genuine acceptance that you didn't have what you thought you had, that you thought you were going to have something that was going to last. You thought you had someone that was willing to give their all and do that with you. It turns out you didn't. Now, that's an unpalatable truth during a breakup. That's not something we want to hear. That's uncomfortable. But on the other side of accepting that is relief. Because what's truly painful is when you feel that that's the person you were supposed to be with forever and that person left.
Well, that's not true anymore, is it? Because what was sacred about that relationship, beyond all else, is that the two of you were willing to commit. This person isn't now. So what's sacred has been lost. Accept that you haven't lost the great relationship of your life. It wasn't, as it turns out, the great relationship of your life. Accepting this truth is the beginning of inner peace. It is what will move you forward powerfully in your life. It is what will start you on the journey of doing new things, meeting new people, experiencing life again, and him seeing you with that level of acceptance, him seeing that he genuinely broke something, if anything is going to make him change his mind and realize the value of what he had and make him want to fight for it, it's that. It's seeing what he broke. If you want practical ways of doing exactly what I'm talking about right now, beginning the path of acceptance, moving on, building your life powerfully again, I have a free guide for you that details 4 steps that you can take to do exactly that. It is at the link gethim.com. I named it that because I have the fundamental belief that the same things that get someone running back to you are the things that get you over that person. And that's the beauty of it. Go download that free guide now. I know you're in pain. I know you're suffering, but I swear to you, things are going to get better. This is going to get better. Let's do it together. I will see you at that link. Thank you for watching.
Why do men ghost? Says Kelly. I had a whirlwind romantic weekend with a guy where he did basically everything but tell me he loved me. And he insisted that we date exclusively. I've barely heard from him since. I didn't come on strong at all. And in fact, I told him we should probably take things slowly. But now he's the one who disappeared. What happened here? Let's deal with the best case and the worst case scenario of who this human being is and why they came on so strong only to disappear. And then I'm going to give you the 3 honest reasons why people ghost. The best case scenario is that this was a person who got carried away with his feelings. It happens to the best of us, doesn't it? Sometimes we get carried away. We sort of trip over our feelings in real time as we're experiencing them. And if we're not disciplined about what we say, we could end up saying some pretty crazy things. Have you ever been so attracted to someone or so into someone that if you let your mouth just run wild with the things that your brain wanted to say, you'd sound like a crazy person? Well, some people lack the impulse control to stop themselves from saying those things. And so they're on a weekend with you, they're having a great time, they have that flood of chemicals that makes them feel like, I love this person. And then they actually say those things. They say the things that the rest of us think, I'll probably wait a week and see if I still feel that. In any case, it would be irresponsible to say that right now. In any case, it would seem mad if I said that to this person right now, and I don't want to seem that way. Some people lack that restraint. And so they just say those things. Now, if we aren't the kind of person who moves that fast, even if internally we can get carried away, externally we don't show that, it can feel like a very rushed pace, and it can feel, I mean, sometimes it feels really good, doesn't it? It can feel really good when someone really wants you and when someone is giving you this unbelievable amount of energy and attention and is zoned in on you. It can be very easy to get swept up in it. That's why I actually want to commend Kelly in saying to him and being brave enough to say, I think we should slow things down. That takes guts, that takes courage, that takes character to do that. Nonetheless, some people want to have that frenzied experience, and it doesn't necessarily come from a bad or malicious place. It's just something that they're feeling and they're going with it. The problem is they can't back it up, because when they're away from you and their emotions settle down, there's a very good chance that that person goes, what have I done? Why did I say all of those things? I can't back that up. I don't know if I'm actually ready to be in a relationship with this person that I've just spent a weekend with. Now he freaks out and he starts backtracking. That is one possible explanation. We could kind of, I suppose, just define that simply as impulsive. The worst possible explanation is that he's just a love bomber. This doesn't come from a good place, either bad intention or simply really, truly selfishness around it that makes him say, I don't care what happens to you in all of this. I am just going to dazzle you and make you fall in love with me over the course of this weekend and say whatever I need to say to get the absolute zhuzh of your attention. Do you know, like in Monsters, Inc., where they have to, like in the beginning of the movie, they have to make the kids scream and cry, and that's what fills up the energy tank. That's what they power their electricity on. The love bomber is like that. It's like the monster that comes out of the closet in the middle of the night, but to make you feel as much love as possible, because that's how they fill up their energy tank, and then they get back in the wardrobe and disappear. That's the love bomber. That person, there's a real deep selfishness to it, a real sort of almost a solipsistic nature to it, that I am all that matters, my feelings are all that matter, and I want to feel really, really intense and have the best weekend ever. I don't care what happens to you after this. It's about what I want to experience. Now, the really insidious thing about that is how it leaves you feeling at the end of it. There's a beautiful Oscar Wilde quote. Wilde was writing to his past lover, Bosie, while in jail, and Bosie had treated him so badly, so poorly, used him for his own ends, used him for his own status and frivolity, but never really. As soon as Wilde was in jail, Bosie didn't care anymore, was just out of the picture. And there's this beautiful line that Wilde uses when writing this scornful letter to Bosie. He says, "The thing that you have personally long ago forgotten or can easily forget is happening to me now and will happen to me again tomorrow." Doesn't that just describe the effect that someone like that can have on us? Someone who can so easily come in, do this damage to us, and then leave and carry on with their life as if nothing happened. But we will be experiencing it today and tomorrow and the next day. So why is it that this person, even if in the best case scenario, they just got carried away with themselves because they're impulsive, would just ghost or fade out in such a dramatic fashion with no real explanation, a complete kind of Jekyll and Hyde scenario, two personalities, one where last weekend you wanted to be with me and be together and be in a relationship, and then the next week where I barely hear from you. I believe there are three primary reasons why people do this. Number one, they want to avoid a difficult conversation. Having the conversation with you where they say, hey, I got really carried away. I didn't mean those things I said, and I know that's hurtful to you, and I'm sorry. I got too carried away, and I need to be honest with you because I don't want you to truly think that that was an indication that I want us to be together. Or, hey, I got carried away, I went too fast, I'd like to slow things down, but I do like you and I want to keep seeing where this is going. I apologize for letting my emotions get the better of me over the weekend. Someone doesn't say that because either way, it's a difficult conversation and it might hurt you, and no one wants to be in that position of having a difficult conversation. The second reason is it makes him look bad. No one wants to have a conversation that makes them look like they're reckless, look like they're selfish, look like they're impulsive. No one wants to do that. Especially, by the way, people who have that narcissistic streak. They're not going to have a conversation with you where they have to admit fault and risk being criticized in the process. The third reason people do it is because they want to keep the door open. Now, you may say, how on earth does ghosting me keep the door open? A lot of people who ghost other people have actually learned that if they ghost someone, there's a kind of gaslighting that goes on there, right? Last weekend, I made you feel like this love was something special, that we were going somewhere, that we had something. And then I disappeared with no explanation. And I'm almost relying on the next time I reach out to you, you not actually having the guts to say anything about that. you being passive, you ignoring it, you being so happy to hear from me again, because now that represents hope, that you brush it under the carpet and I get to say, hey, you want to do something tonight? And you say, yeah, that sounds really nice. And now we go out. The elephant in the room is you thinking, what the hell? But he's relying on the fact that you're not actually going to say that. And that's what people do all the time. They rely on the fact that you really, deep down, more than you want to have standards, you want them back. And so in that moment, when they reach out to you after having disappeared for the last 2 weeks, when they say, what are you up to tonight? The wanting them back, the wanting the attention, the wanting for it to go somewhere is going to be the primary driver. And that's going to make you say, yes, I'd like to see you. They're relying on that. They're banking on your passivity. They're banking on you ignoring your standards, shunning your needs. Ghosting can actually tick a lot of boxes for someone. I don't have to have a hard conversation. I don't have to have my own problems reflected back at me in the way I treat people. And there's a good chance that by not having this conversation, the next time I ask you out, you'll say yes, because I haven't presented you with any actual information. I have plausible deniability. I thought we were good. You didn't say anything. This gives someone a way to keep you potentially on tap and withhold closure. With Kelly and the situation with this guy, it wasn't one bad thing that happened. It was a couple. One of the things that was bad was him going at breakneck speed on this weekend that he couldn't actually back up. Saying to her on this weekend that he had really strong feelings, saying to her that he wanted the two of them to be together. So his first bad was going so fast and not backing it up. But the second thing he did wrong was having no ownership of that. No moment where he said, hey, I just want to talk to you about the weekend. Now, if you take an impulsive nature, and impulsive people can be very attractive, can be very exciting, but they can also be incredibly reckless. If you take an impulsive person and you marry that with a lack of accountability, that becomes a very dark pairing, because you've got someone who's reckless and doesn't own the consequences of their recklessness. In psychology, there's that term, the dark triad. That's narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. And that makes an incredibly dangerous person. Well, in our love lives, there are people with dark pairings. You will, if you know my other videos and you've followed me for a long time, know that one of my ideas, one of the things that I talk about is the idea of unique pairings in attraction. These are a positive thing. When you find two different things in a person that are both attractive, and you don't normally find those two things in the same person, that person becomes uniquely attractive and much more irreplaceable. A unique pairing. You're sexy, but you're also funny. Wow, that's a unique pairing. You're clever, but you're also humble and a good listener and curious. Wow, unique pairing, really attractive. Unique pairings are good. Dark pairings are like the inverse of that philosophy. Dark pairings is when you find two things in a person that are both bad, but together they make someone not just bad, but dangerous. This person is demonstrating a dark pairing. And all of this, hopefully, all of this information will help you realize that this person, even if you suddenly start getting attention from them again, is actually a dangerous person to invite into your life. All of this entitles you to be very direct with this person if they do reach out again asking for something, instead of trying to be too clever or too charming or too charismatic. And how am I gonna send this person a message back that's gonna get them to try harder? That's not the mission here. The mission here is to communicate to this person, this is not okay. This is not energy that I ever allow into my life. And this is behavior that I find deeply unattractive. And so if that person ever reaches out to you and says, hey, what are you up to? You can either ignore it completely. And if they text again and say, I wanted to see if you were around, I'd love to catch up. You can then say, hey, it was really strange to me that we had such an intense connection over the weekend, but then to barely hear from you afterwards. And for me, the kind of energy I want in my life is from people who are consistent, people who are communicative, and people who I trust to be in my life day to day, not in my life one day and out the next. The things you said and how strongly you came on only to disappear was deeply confusing and had a real impact on my trust. So I don't know what else to say to you, but I wanted to be honest about that with you. When you say that to someone, you're telling them in no uncertain terms, this is not acceptable to me. None of this is me saying you should try and get a person like this back. This is me saying to you, recognize dangerous combinations, dark pairings, when you see them. Now that you have the information of why someone might do something like this, don't spend a second longer analyzing it. Go, live your life, and direct your energy to people who deserve to be taken seriously. If watching this video has already been a bit of a pressure valve for you and you want to build on that and get stronger, I have a free video for you at moveonstrong.com that is going to help you do that. So go check it out now. It's free. It's a great video. It was taken from a private session I did, not for the public. It's called moveonstrong.com. I will see you over there. Meredith, my name's Matthew. Are you excited to be talking with me today?
I am.
I promise I'm even more excited to be talking to you. I have a special surprise today. My brother is in the studio with me, Matthew Hussey.
Hi, Meredith.
Stephen co-wrote the Get the Guy book with me that became a New York Times bestseller. He writes an article every single week on the website. So you need to go to howtogettheguy.com and read his articles because they're amazing. His writing is like chocolate for your ears.
I'm very excited to look into it. I can't wait.
Who wouldn't want that? So he's going to be helping us with your question today. So let's go for it. What question do you have for us?
I just started dating a guy a couple of weeks ago, and one of the kind of communication issues that I've run into is that he pretty frequently brings up other women that he finds really attractive, and he's always commenting on how gorgeous someone is, and he'll pull them up on his Instagram. One thing that kind of sat off with me is I don't feel necessarily that he's trying to compare me, but it's never, ever something he says to me. And he is significantly less physically attractive than me by most people's standards. However, I really like him.
So he's less attractive than you?
Yes.
And he says everyone else is hot and he doesn't say it to you?
Correct.
Okay. So why don't you say to him, how come you never say I'm hot?
I kind of mentioned that to him where I was like, it would be nice if you would tell me that I was beautiful too. And he just kind of looked at me and he was like, well, you should already know that.
So, the wonderful thing about women is that when you give them a sexy compliment that makes them feel amazing and turned on, it is something you can use again and again, and they'll still feel that way. And that's something that I would feel if you told me that. And don't you want me to feel that? Because that makes me so attracted to you to hear that from you.
Okay.
And by the way, let's fix another part of this. The fact that he's telling you about all the other women that he finds hot. What's happening there?
I don't know. I really don't know. And, some of these women are women that he has dated previously, but most of them are not. Most of them are just
Wait, so that's even worse, isn't it? He's dated them previously. These aren't even random women. This isn't like, I don't know who's a hot woman on TV. Who's like a beautiful woman?
Eva Longoria.
Eva Longoria. It's not like he's saying, oh, Eva's looking good today on telenovela. Is that her new show?
Yes, it is.
She's looking hot today. He's not saying that. He's saying my ex is hot.
There is that, and he has a semi-celebrity status. It's not big, but it's enough, I guess. And so it's women that he's connected to.
Is it as big as mine and Steven's celebrity status?
Not. You are top of the list. You're A-list.
I'm okay. So
he has a YouTube channel.
He's got a YouTube channel. He's got like a few hundred people that watch it.
He's on Food Network, I think, is basically what it boils down to.
Got it. Okay. So I'm nervous about this because not only does it show that he's not looking out for your feelings by saying other people were hot, and no less his exes, he's also not
making you feel great, which is one of the great parts of a relationship, isn't it? That somebody else makes you feel great and tells you some of the reasons that you're great on days when you don't always see those things. That's one of the most beautiful parts of it. And so I think it's really dangerous right now to be with someone who is actively doing the opposite. And Steve, what do you think Meredith should be saying?
I think it's one of those things where you really do need to assert a standard, and I think that means, and this isn't always easy, but in a very sort of almost calm way, explaining to him what it makes you feel when he talks about ex-girlfriends, and almost asking him if he thinks it's you don't want to go down the route of going, oh, do you think that's appropriate? Because obviously that can lead him to go, well, I don't know, I don't see something wrong with it. But I think you almost need to lay out why there's a huge difference between him vaguely commenting someone's hot on TV and actually, in front of you talking about his exes. Because I don't know, for where me and Matt come from, that's not normal or appropriate guy behavior. And
now, and one way to do that is to say, how would you like it if I was doing the same thing, right? That's the road a lot of people go down, is if I was saying all my exes were hot and never told you that I thought you were really attractive, how would you feel? Now, you can go down that road, and sometimes it's worth doing to give someone a kind of forced sense of empathy, but the problem with that is sometimes someone is like, well, I wouldn't really care, like that. They
exactly.
take that road. So what I prefer to do is simply state that, look, maybe you would be okay with this the other way around, which, by the way, I would never do to you, because I respect you and you're the hot person in my life now. So you're where my attention is. And I want you to feel that I think you're hot and sexy and attractive.
Well, look, this guy should want to fulfill her needs, right?
Right.
And so if you communicate someone, my need is I need to feel secure in this relationship, and it doesn't make me feel secure when I hear you talking about other women that way, that should almost be enough for him.
And that's all. And by the way,
the standard is not unreasonable, is it?
That's all he needs to know. He doesn't need to have the same standard as you. He just needs to know that this is your standard and you don't want this. You know, this is an energy you don't want in your relationship. And let him know that, and be firm. I wouldn't, you can always have kindness in your relationships even when you're firm, but don't go into people pleaser mode when you talk to him about this. You should be firm. This behavior sucks and it's not okay. And he needs to know that, and that you have a different standard for your relationship, and maybe he doesn't have that standard, in which case that's a bigger conversation. But right now, unless this changes, it's going to be a sticking point in your relationship, and he needs to know that. I would say that in those terms to him.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you so much.
And if you need to remember what we've just said, simply go to iTunes and download our podcast, which this is on now, and replay these words over and over again and write down the script and then go and say it to him.
That is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm so glad that I discovered you.
I'm so happy that you're here, Meredith. Thank you so much. We will speak to you soon, okay?
Thank you, Matthew and Stephen.
All the best, Meredith. Thank you.
Take care.
He's giving you time, he's giving you energy, he's giving you attention, he's getting your attention, he's getting your time, he's getting your intimacy, but he's not saying yes. And that's all you actually need to know. 1,200 people tuning in, that's crazy. All right, so I've sent out a video request to Jillian. Hey.
Hey,
How are you?
Julian.
Wait, what was your name? Is it Jillian, or did I just mix you up with someone in the chat?
Sabina.
Sabina. Okay, there you go.
I don't
Sabina.
know how many people you have on the video at the same time, so sorry.
No, just you. So hello, it's good to have you here.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm from New Jersey, but I watch your videos all the time. I do have some situation, obviously. I was involved with someone for about 6 months. This person is going through a divorce, and we constantly fighting because he has no time. He's afraid to commit to something serious because he doesn't want his ex-wife to find out because she would cause him a lot of problems through the divorce. He's trying here and there. I see him like once a week. He's very consistent. We're on the phone all the time, but I'm very confused because he giving me everything like he wants a relationship, and the question he's asking if I'm seeing or speaking with other people, and the way he's very close with me, and we already got intimate at some point, that it seems like a relationship, but he doesn't want to put a title on it. He doesn't want a commitment yet, and it's causing us fight all the time. And I just, every time we try to cut it off, we then miss each other. We start talking again, and I just don't know if his situation is he just playing game, or if I should cut it off, or how to approach him. That I don't want to put pressure. He feels pressured by me into relationship. I don't want to pressure him, but I feel like we are 6 months, and I kind of would like to know what I stand. I don't want to waste my time. I'm 36 years old. I'm established. I'm divorced myself after 4 years, and I'm looking for something serious. He knew that from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So what would be your advice in this?
So what's really what a lot of people struggle with in situations like this is we get into the business of analyzing what somebody else is saying and whether it's fair or not. And when we do that, we can be spinning internally because we go, is he right? Am I right? Should I be more understanding because he's still in a divorce, or is he officially divorced?
No, not yet. And we don't know when that's going to happen.
So he's saying to you that there could be more problems for me if she learns that I'm dating someone, and then I have all the headaches of a much more acrimonious divorce. And so now you're looking at that going, well, that sounds rational and reasonable. Do I have to be more understanding? And so what you're going through is very common, not just in divorces, but also with anyone who is hearing a reason why somebody can't give them what they want right now, right? Now, he has his logic, he has his reasons.
Correct.
But there's two words, reasons and reality. I'm not saying his reality, your reality. Your reality is that you said you're in your 30s, you want a relationship.
Correct.
And you have been dating someone for 6 months who still can't say that the two of you are an actual couple.
Right.
That's your reality, regardless of what he is telling you or the legitimacy of his reasons. For now, we don't actually have to worry about whether his reasons are real or not. Are they real? Does it have genuine consequences for him in his divorce if she learns that he's dating someone? Maybe. Is he using it just as a strategy to tell you that he can't have an official relationship right now because it will cause him problems, and that's how he's justifying not getting into a commitment that actually he's not ready for, independent of his ex? Maybe. We don't know, but it doesn't matter. It's, in a way, it's not our business to know. It's not your business to know. It's your business to protect yourself. So what I want you to do is, the next time you talk to him, say to him, look, I can have compassion for your situation. I can have compassion for the fact that you're going through a lot. A divorce is a big deal. You dealing with the fallout of that and dealing with all of the logistics of that is a lot for you right now. I totally understand that. But I can't take that on myself. Your reasons don't change my reality. And my reality is that I've given this 6 months to see where it goes, in the hopes that it would turn into something serious and committed. and a relationship. I'm not asking for the world. I'm asking for a relationship. And you're not able to give that to me, regardless of why that is. Because again, when you speak to him, Sabina, I want you to have no aggression in your heart. I want you to have there's no anger, there's no nothing. It's just facts. However legitimate those reasons are for you, the reality for me doesn't change, which is that I want to find something serious and meaningful with someone who values me and someone who's ready to say yes to me. And regardless of your reason, you can't say yes to me right now. You've made that clear. So I'm gonna move forward with my life. And if something changes for you, you let me know. And if I happen to still be available at that time, then we'll talk. But in the meantime, I have to keep moving forward with my life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think I'm trying to actually accept that. And actually, I think I have to make that decision because I had those conversations with him many times. And actually, I watch your videos and I try to say those things to him that I'm trying to be understanding, but this is not working for me. And we'll cut it off. And then 2 days later, he will contact me. He will show up. He will bring me something. Like he has hard time also letting it go as well.
Of course.
And I ask him, why you keep dragging this? You're not ready. Why can't you just let me go and not waste my time if you're not ready for a relationship? He has hard time with that as well.
Right.
That's what's confusing too, because it looked like he wants it, but he just can't give it to me right now. That's his response.
But you know what? But here's the thing. Right now, he doesn't feel the consequences, the true consequences of letting you go because you're not going.
That's true.
There's an analogy you use, Matt, which is you never want to be the train just sitting on a platform saying, doors are open, we're ready when you are, we'll just sit here and chill. And when you're ready, the train's just sitting here waiting. You want to be the train that's like, we're moving forward with or without you. That's where we're going. We've got a destination. And that's the only way someone, not to play games, but that's the only way someone ever feels, I've got to make a real decision here because they're not going to be here.
And can I, that's absolutely right, Steve. Let me say one more thing, Sabina.
Yes.
If someone is coming out of a relationship, whether it's marriage or just a long-term relationship, it already makes them a precarious person to be with right now. It already makes them a potentially dangerous person to be with because of all of the complications that can come with that, whether they're contractual complications and logistical, or whether they are simply the complications of someone whose heart is still bound up with someone in the past. So someone in that situation needs to actually work extra hard to make sure that you know they're ready, right? In a sense, even if he was saying to you, I'm ready and let's do this, there should still be a little part of you that says, I really care about this man in this relationship, so I want to give this a shot, but I am going to tread carefully here to make sure that this is real, that this is consistent, that this is everything that this person says it is. So I'm going to go slowly here. That's even in the case that he's working extra hard to reassure you and to give you consistent energy and investment and commitment. But he's not even doing that.
Honestly, I've been in very similar situation because I was married for 13 years and I got divorced 3 years ago, separated for. So I'm trying to be understanding because his situation is very similar to mine. And I met someone right before my divorce because I was separated from my ex-husband for almost a year before my divorce. So in his situation is like it's similar situation. So I could see that this could be something. I just feel like he's holding back, but he wants it, and he gives me everything. Like we have a relationship, we are constantly in contact all day. He's very consistent. It's just the time. He doesn't have enough time for me.
Well, so wait, is the problem that he doesn't want to say yes to a relationship, or he doesn't have enough time?
Enough time, and he's afraid to commit yet. Like he's not
Right.
rushing.
So by the way, one of those can be more legitimate than the other. Because if he's saying to you, hey, it's you and me. It's you and me. We're going to do this together. I want to be with you. You want to be with me. You and I are in a relationship. And he's executing on his divorce. He's making all of that happen. Everyone who says never date someone who's going through a divorce or whatever, life's not black and white. So I can't stand when people are so defiant about, it has to be this way or whatever. People could be separated for a long time, and it's a matter of dealing with paperwork at this stage. So at the end of the day, and by the way, you have to know that he's finalizing that. You have to know that it's actually happening, but life isn't binary.
Right.
But what is binary, what is really simple is he saying yes to you? And he's not saying yes to you. If he said yes to you and then said, by the way, this is a really tricky period time-wise. I'm in a chapter of my life where I am slammed with the amount of things I have to do. I'm looking forward to being able to dedicate more time. But right now, I need you to bear with me through this chapter because it is a really crazy time. Then you can communicate. You can work with someone like that.
So that's
right?
what was happening, actually. It's just that I guess he feel more pressure because I'm asking for a little bit more, or I'm asking for more validation because we are 6 months.
No, you're
I want to
asking.
put that
You're
pressure,
asking
but I
to
need
say,
to know for myself if this is going anywhere.
But you're saying, can we call ourselves a couple? And he's saying no.
Right.
That's all you need to know. After 6 months, that's all you need to know. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
He's not saying yes. He's giving you he's giving you time. He's giving you energy. He's giving you attention. He's getting your attention. He's getting your time. He's getting your intimacy. But he's not saying yes. And that's all you actually need to know. That's it.
So when it comes to no contact rule, if he reaches out, should I ignore him because he did message me? Should I ignore him? Should I
Here's what you do.
say something in a polite way to just, for him to leave me alone because I need to obviously take some time and think this through. I don't know what's the right approach is because, sometimes when you're emotional, you might, take the wrong way.
Firstly, here's what you know. Going back to him because he reaches out to you doesn't change anything. You have evidence for that now.
Right.
So the next time you tell yourself, after you've had one of these conversations with him and you move on, when he then reaches out to you, remind yourself, the last time he reached out and the last time he went back, it didn't make any difference. So why do I think it's going to make a difference this time? Do you want to know something about the no contact rule? The no contact rule, people take way too literally. The no contact rule, people take to mean that for X amount of time after a breakup, you must have zero contact with the person whatsoever. If they reach out to you, ignore them.
Okay.
The no contact rule is a little bit different than that, in my opinion, my version of it.
Okay.
The rule is, if someone reaches out to you, you have to set a bar for what's interesting. And the only thing that's interesting enough to engage with is a different decision from his side. Anything less than a different decision is boring and is not worth your time. So what that means is if he comes back to you and says, I miss you, boring.
If he comes back to you and says, I am thinking of you, boring, pointless, wasting my time. If he comes back to you and says, I'm so confused, boring, pointless, stop wasting my time. Your confusion is not my problem. If he comes back to you and says, I've rethought this whole thing, can we talk? We can talk. If that's the case, if you've rethought this whole thing and there's a different decision here, let's talk. Even then, I would tread carefully. How do I know that you mean this? Let's talk about that. How do you know that you mean this and that you're not wasting my time? Let's talk about that. But that's a talk. You can have that talk. You don't have to, if someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I have rethought this whole thing, I'd really like to talk to you. You don't have to go, no contact rule, I can't message back. Right? You say, okay, if you've genuinely had a change of heart about your decision, let's talk about it. People are entitled to change their mind about things. We've all been there. But anything less than you have changed your mind is a message back from you that says, hey, I respect that I get that you miss me. I get that you're confused. I get that you miss what we have. But unless the decision has changed, it's inappropriate for you to be reaching out to me right now. And then you leave it. And then you go back to no contact. You see that?
Yeah.
This is really, really, really important. This is your time we're talking about. This is your energy we're talking about. Honestly, we have this much time here on this earth.
I know. That's why at this point, I felt like I gave in 6 months. I think it's just enough time for him to kind of know, where we are, how he feels about it. Can we work?
No, but let me change. Let me flip that for you, Sabina. It's enough time for you to know.
Yes.
It's enough time for you to know. Stop putting the ball in his court. It's enough time for you to know where you are. And it's enough time for you to know what this man is willing to give you.
Right. I do know what I want and what I want from it, and I wanted it. He's not willing, or he claimed it's not it's not a good timing. He can't give me what I want right now.
But by the way,
he can't, and I have to let it go.
Correct. If he says it's not good timing, whether the reason it's not good timing is noble or not, doesn't make it good timing for you. It doesn't matter what his reason is for it being bad timing. And this is a mistake that I see people make all the time. They try to assess whether his reasons are valid or not. It doesn't matter whether your reasons are valid or not. The reality is still you don't want a relationship with me. That's all I need to know.
Right.
You're not in a place where you can have a relationship.
But then he was coming back and treating me and saying all those things like he wants a relationship and he doesn't want me to see anybody else.
Of course he doesn't.
For himself, but he doesn't want to commit.
Of course. But can you hear that? Is that really what you're worth? Is staying in your box, waiting for someone to decide that they're ready to come play with you?
You're right.
Think about that.
I love all the comments, by the way, that everyone is writing. I could see them. Yeah,
but ignore the comments because the truth is everyone has an opinion on your situation and no one knows how hard it is unless they're in it. We're all good at telling everyone else what they should do and leave right now and don't do this and don't do that. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves all fucked up and in love and we start doing really different things than we tell everyone else to do. So ignore the comments. This is about you. It's not easy. Doing this is not easy. You're in it right now. It's your life. It's your feelings. It's your emotions. But it's your heart that we're protecting here, and it's your time and your energy, and you have to love yourself and your time and your energy more than to allow someone to dictate to you that you should sit there and accept less until they decide that you're someone they want to have a relationship with. That cannot ever be the deal you make with someone, ever, ever, ever. And if he 6 months from now,
and at that point, he wants to have a relationship with you, if you're still on the market, okay, let's talk. Let's talk. Again, no aggression, no anger. I'm not going to say no to you because I'm angry at you from before. That's ego. No, if finally you're in a place where you're ready and I'm ready and I haven't met someone, then let's talk, as long as you're going to give me something very different from last time. But maybe you won't be available anymore. And that, unfortunately for him, that's the risk he's taking right now. But it's a risk he has to take. You're not going to absorb that risk for him by hanging around.
You're right. Thank you.
Matthew Hussey here with Love Life. I wanted to deal with a slightly delicate issue today in many relationships, and this occurs in both old and new relationships, is when we find that our partner finds somebody else hot. This is a really sensitive issue for people because they get quite upset at the idea that their partner could be attracted to somebody else. And you may find it out third hand. They might make a joke about someone they see on TV and they think they're really attractive. It may even be about someone you know, which for most people stings even more when it's someone that you both know. I've been in this exact position before where I've been feeling jealous that somebody I'm with finds someone else attractive. And I sit back and I have to say, okay, how do I overcome this jealousy? Well, firstly, we can be attracted to any human being. There are different types of attraction, of course. I, for example, will feel an attraction if I'm around someone who is very learned, someone who is erudite, someone who has a particular passion for their subject and can speak about it very eloquently. I find that very attractive, man or woman. I could be around a guy who really knows their stuff about something, someone who has amazing confidence and someone who really is impressive in their field, and feel an attraction there. It may not be a physical attraction, but it's a form of attraction. We feel that for everyone, not just the opposite sex. We feel it for the same sex. So there are many different types of attraction. Now, one would say, yeah, but when it's someone who is the opposite sex and when it's a sexual attraction, it's different. And we tend to compartmentalize in that way and say, well, it's okay for my partner to think somebody else is cool. It's okay for my partner to think somebody else is impressive in what they do, but I don't want them to find them sexually attractive. Now, that's understandable because we get particularly sensitive when it becomes about sexuality, but we have to remember something. Because there are many different forms of attraction, attraction almost exists in different dimensions. There's sexual attraction, there's platonic attraction, there's the attraction that comes from admiration, the attraction that comes from feeling like you have something in common with someone, all different forms of attraction. Now, if we say my partner is attracted sexually to somebody else, here's the only thing that matters. Who are they choosing at the end of the day? This is the only thing that has any bearing on reality. Who are they choosing? Who they're attracted to is not all that important. Because if most of us were honest, we would say, well, of course, there's always the potential for me to be attracted to somebody else. As long as attractive people exist on this earth, I could be attracted to somebody else. That's life. The choosing is where the romance is. The choosing is where the investment is. The choosing is where the significance is. So forget who your partner is attracted to and understand who they are choosing. Until they stop choosing you, who they are attracted to is not very important. It might create some mild feelings of jealousy, which, by the way, can even be important sometimes for desire and attraction. Those feelings are not always bad between couples, though we've learned to associate them in a negative way. But the thing that's important is, are they choosing me? When that changes, when they decide to choose somebody else, that's where you can begin to question the relationship itself. The moment someone doesn't choose me anymore, they cease to be the right person for me. Even if I love them, even if I worship them, even if I think they're a great person, I know that they're not the right person for me if they're not choosing me. But as long as they're choosing me, They could be attracted to anyone. What does it really matter? I know we're human. I know we have these primal instincts that make us jealous. But the thing that's important is the choosing. If your partner has chosen you, then let the rest go. Thanks, guys. I'll speak to you soon. By the way, if you haven't joined me on Facebook yet, go to facebook.com/Coach Matthew Hussey, and I will see you there.
I remember being in New York in a bar and making eyes with this person for like an hour. And as she was walking out an hour later, she literally looked over and she went, that was enough. Because then I went, and then I started to make my way over. That little moment where she did that was what meant that we talked. You know the number of times, think in your life, the number of times you were one hair away from not meeting someone that ended up being in your life. We have people in social environments looking down at their phone instead of up at who's in the room. That's what most people do. They go out, they sit down at a table that eliminates their presence from the room. The guys are the same. The guys are walking around this like they're James Bond all the time. Like they walk into a room like this. We're all being too fucking cool. It might be worth making it a little more obvious you'd like them to do something. Just walking past a guy and smiling when you like him is the difference much of the time between him doing something and doing nothing.
I followed Matthew's advice because I'm an extrovert when I'm with my girlfriends, but when I'm, with anyone else, I'm all shy. And I started talking to people, and I just became so much more confident. I had way better dates, way better experiences. I met heaps more people. My life has amped up 1,000,000%. I can't even explain how much.
My why is I think we're incredibly lonely. The world is lonely, isn't it? Like life is lonely, the world is lonely. It's like it's like drinking a coffee in the morning and have nothing to do with all of that energy. Because you want to give it to someone. You have so much more to give than what you're giving right now because you have no object to direct it towards. Life is just this big video game. The way we play video games is we really explore in the game. Like we go through different doors, we talk to different people, we go to different areas, we collect gold coins over here. We really explore the world. We play the hell out of the game. What if your life was a video game and there's just, in Melbourne tonight alone, there's just thousands of characters you can talk to in that video game, and all of them has a different story, and all of them has something different to teach you, or you to teach them. If we started seeing our life like that, like the best video game that was ever created, and we're actually in it, we would live with a whole different intensity. This week, I have a special guest in the form of one of my best friends and cousins, Billy Jennings. Hi, Bill.
How you doing, Matt?
Billy is one of our retreat coaches, and he is going to help us answer the question today of what 4 things men really want in the bedroom. Billy, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, it's a great question. Flat screen TV on the wall, 65-inch, Nintendo Switch, little mini fridge full of snacks, bed in the shape of a race car. Did you only want 4? I've got loads.
I thought I'd do a video on my own today about the 4 things men really want in the bedroom. So let's begin. Number 1, clues. Look, 2 things tend to be true. 1, men want to please. 2, women are rarely the same. Whether it's positions, pressure, words that you like, you have your own unique formula that turns you on. And unless you give him clues as to how to do that, he probably won't be able to please you as well as he could. And there's an important distinction. Don't talk about something you've enjoyed in the past. Talk about something that would be really hot if he did it. Number 2, to feel like it doesn't have to be a saga every time.
Now, I'm not saying guys should get away with never trying, never setting a mood, never laying out candles, making it romantic, creating atmosphere. What I am saying is, if we tell each other that every time we make love, it has to be this big deal with this big build-up, and it has to be crazy and amazing with 40 different positions, we should be mixing it up. Not all sex is penetration, not all making love is a marathon, and not every time has to be the best time. Too many formal dinners become staid, and too much fast food becomes cheap. But there's Michelin star restaurants and there's Shake Shack, and depending on your mood, both of them can be a delight. Number 3, he wants to feel hot outside of the bedroom. And I'm not talking about the one time a year where he puts on a tux for a wedding. I'm talking about everyday scenarios. His scruff looks good today. Tell him you can't wait to get him home. He just looked at you in a way that made you want to jump him when you get home. Tell him. Or in the middle of Starbucks, just grab him inappropriately when no one else is watching. One of the sure ways to make our love lives boring is to compartmentalize the places where we get sexual. Oh, we're in bed now? Let's engage in sexual activity. No, create that tension out there in the world and in random situations, and when you get to the bedroom, that fire will already be there because the foreplay has been happening all day. Number 4, he wants for you to like your body. Now look, we all have insecurities, but drawing attention to them constantly isn't sexy. He didn't even give a second of thought to that phantom back fat that you keep talking about, but now it's all he can think about because you keep putting it in his mind. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to discuss sometimes the things that we wish were different in our bodies or the things that we think about, but sometimes you just have to let your partner admire the work of art without pointing out everything you think is wrong with it. So there you have it. Those are 4 things men really want in the bedroom. Bill?
Fish tank, lava lamp, giant Pez dispenser, gumball machine, pool table, snooker table, darts board, water slide that goes down to the kitchen. Can you get a Diet Coke out of the mini fridge, please, mate?
Yeah, of course, mate.
Pinball machine, giant R2-D2 record player, pet chimpanzee, and a baby diaper.
Julia, why don't you tell us your question?
Okay, well, it's a little complicated, but I'll try to make it short. I've been with this guy for about 2 years. We broke up 8 months ago. For the past 8 months, I've been in, competition with this girl online, a girl he never met, most likely a girl he's never going to meet. So, and I also recently found out he slept with his ex a couple months ago. So my question is, he keeps telling me, I don't want to commit to a relationship. But I feel like he's committed to her because he's always going back to her and me. So why is it so hard for him to commit? Or is it just he wants her because he knows she's temporary and he sees a future with me and that scares him? I don't know. Why is it so hard for him to commit from a guy's perspective?
Okay, so he slept with his ex after he was with you.
Right.
And he's also been talking to this woman online.
Right, and me all at the same time.
Okay. How old is this guy?
He's 17, I'm 18.
Okay. So, what do you think might be going on for him right now as a 17-year-old?
I don't know. I feel
young
he's
man
just starting to mature, but why doesn't he just let me go if it's so hard for him to commit? And yet I told him just let me go.
Because he's selfish.
That's what I thought. Exactly what I thought.
Because he's selfish. And because 17-year-olds are selfish.
Right.
That doesn't mean all 17-year-olds are bad people, but if you want to come up with a bit of a stereotype, teenagers are selfish. And by the way, he may be selfish for another 10 years, but he's not essentially looking out for your feelings. He's right now enjoying validation from every direction.
Right. Oh my God.
And it may be he likes you so much he doesn't want to let go, but caring about you would be to let you go. And he doesn't care about you enough to do that. And I think it's good for you to experience selfish men at this age because meeting a guy like this and feeling attraction for him is good. The pain is good. The rejection is good. It's all very important.
and I wouldn't wish for anything else for you. If you called me today and said, if I had a magic wand that could take away all of this and make him right for you and make him commit and not have you have to experience being in competition for anybody, I still wouldn't waive it. I would still want you to go through all of this and have this experience because it's really important for making you an interesting and developed person.
Wow, you're amazing. Oh my God. Everything you just said was like on point.
So have fun out there, Julia. Enjoy it. Don't waste any more time here. You know, you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to cut yourself off from him completely if you don't want to. But he's not denying himself for other experiences, and you shouldn't either.
Okay, got it.
All right.
I want to talk about some words that men say to women that women do not look forward to. I'm not sure if I am ready for a relationship. I'm assuming that you're watching this because this is a guy that you do actually care about, that despite saying he's not really ready for a relationship or that he's not sure, is not necessarily a bad guy, but just a guy who is confused, and a guy that, despite his confusion, you still either like or love and both want the best for and want the best possible shot at being with. So with that in mind, here's what you can say. It seems like you need to go away and figure out what you want and be on your own for a while. And I want your happiness more than anything in the world. I just want you to be happy. So I feel like you need to go and be alone in order to figure out what you want. And I hope that I'm still here when you're ready. But until then, I know that I need someone who is completely in, because I wouldn't want to be with someone who isn't 100% about wanting to be with me. Here's what I love about you saying all of this. He's not sure what he wants, and trying to make him more sure about you isn't gonna make him more sure. All it's gonna do is make him feel like he's being sold on something. Instead, you saying, I think you're right. You need to go away and figure out what you want, and you need to be alone to do that. He's now scared because he's like, now I have to go and be on my own, and maybe I don't want to do that. And since she's making it okay for me to go and be on my own and figure myself out, it doesn't even seem as attractive anyway. It's not like I have anything to rebel against because she's telling me to go and do it. Then when you couple that with saying, I want you to do that because I care about your happiness means the world to me. It comes from such a loving and sweet and pure place. It's not like you're just trying to manipulate him. You really want him to go and find out what he wants. Because the last thing that you want is for him to be unhappy in this situation. So he now sees this unbelievably loving woman in front of him that he's about to lose. Then when you say, I hope I'm still here when you're ready, that notion is introducing that seed of doubt. Like, you're leaving now and I'm encouraging you to do it because I want you to be happy, but you're also showing that it may not happen. There is that chance that he may not get everything that he wants at the end of the day by doing this. And then lastly, when you say to him, I want someone who is 100% in with me. I want someone who really knows what they want. That's what I deserve. That's when you show your value. That's when you show you respect yourself. That's when you show you love yourself. And that's why you couldn't accept anything less than someone who's sure about you. This whole response is loving, it's kind, but it's also strong. And it shows him that you're someone that he truly is going to be losing out on in a big way in his life. Hi ladies, it's Matthew. I want to talk about some words that men say to women that women do not look forward to and very often don't know how to take when they say them, which are, I'm not sure if I and ready for a relationship. Now, very often this is accompanied by some sort of explanation about why he maybe still wants to be single or just doesn't feel ready yet. The point is how you respond. And many women have a response that hurts them rather than helps them in this situation. Now, you know me, sometimes I want to come along with an inspirational message or a message for your confidence, and at other times I come along and I just tell you exactly what you can say in a certain situation to get a result. Well, today is one of those days where I want to give you exactly what to say. Now, first, let's understand this is a really difficult scenario. Emotions run high. You feel hurt that the person you want to be with isn't sure about whether they want to be with you, or sometimes even more specifically, they're not sure whether they want to be in a relationship right now. It's not always purely about you, but it sucks. And because it sucks, we have a temptation to get angry, to get hurt, to get upset, to get sad in front of them. But I want you to use what I'm about to tell you as a way of both showing complete love for the other person and complete love for yourself at the same time. Now, just to add a caveat, which I've only recently got used to adding in my videos, because sometimes when I give something like this, the response is a very kind of reflex. Well, I would just tell him to go screw himself. I would just tell him I don't want him anyway, or I'd tell him to go to hell because I don't want a guy like that. I'm assuming that you're watching this because this is a guy that you do actually care about, that despite saying he's not really ready for a relationship or that he's not sure, is not necessarily a bad guy, but just a guy who is confused, and a guy that, despite his confusion, you still either like or love, and both want the best for and want the best possible shot at being with. So with that in mind, here's what you can say. It seems like you need to go away and figure out what you want and be on your own for a while. And I want your happiness more than anything in the world. I just want you to be happy. So I feel like you need to go and be alone in order to figure out what you want. And I hope that I'm here, or I'm still here when you're ready. But until then, I know that I need someone who is completely in, because I wouldn't want to be with someone who isn't 100% about wanting to be with me. Here's what I love about you saying all of this. He's not sure what he wants, and trying to make him more sure about you isn't going to make him more sure. All it's going to do is make him feel like he's being sold on something. Instead, you saying, I think you're right. You need to go away and figure out what you want, and you need to be alone to do that. He's now scared, because he's like, now I have to go and be on my own, and maybe I don't want to do that. And since she's making it okay for me to go and be on my own and figure myself out, it doesn't even seem as attractive anyway. It's not like I have anything to rebel against because she's telling me to go and do it. Then when you couple that with saying, I want you to do that because I care about your happiness means the world to me. It comes from such a loving and sweet and pure place. It's not like you're just trying to manipulate him. You really want him to go and find out what he wants. Because the last thing that you want is for him to be unhappy in this situation. So he now sees this unbelievably loving woman in front of him that he's about to lose. Then when you say, I hope I'm still here when you're ready, that notion is introducing that seed of doubt. Like, you're leaving now and I'm encouraging you to do it because I want you to be happy, but you're also showing that it may not happen. There is that chance that he may not get everything that he wants at the end of the day by doing this. And then lastly, when you say to him, I want someone who is 100% in with me. I want someone who really knows what they want. That's what I deserve. That's when you show your value. That's when you show you respect yourself. That's when you show you love yourself. You love him, but you also love yourself. And that's why you couldn't accept anything less than someone who's sure about you. This whole response is loving, it's kind, but it's also strong. And it shows him that you're someone that he truly is going to be losing out on in a big way in his life. Words matter. And the way you use words can be extraordinarily powerful for your relationships. Now, I know that there are so many of you out there who love when I give specific things to say. I'm a big lover of some of the big concepts as well, but Sometimes it's nice just to know, I've got this situation with a guy, what do I say? He texted me this, what do I say? He said this to me, what do I say? A little while back, I created something called the 59 secret scripts. And these were scripts that you could use in any situation with men. All different amazing things that you can say to show that you're high value, to show that you're sexy, and to get what you want from men. And they're so, so powerful. If you've ever been in a situation with a guy and you're like asking your friends, what do I say? What do I say to this? Or what should I have said to him? This solves that for you. So if you want to go check these out, which I know you will, go to getthescripts.com. I can't wait to see what you think of these. I'm very excited. Go to getthescripts.com. I'll see you there.